So it was Parents Weekend. My husband and I went over for Parents Weekend with our children who were over there. And our daughter is in a sorority. Our son is an athlete. So he is in a dorm. And our daughter is in a live out on Greek Row. A live out is when you have done your time in your house, in the official sorority house, and you get to move out into one of the houses that aren't as restrictive. In the sorority houses, you can't drink. You have a house mom. It's more controlled, more supervised kind of living. Then you get to move out into, say, a house called Bacardi, and that's what college kids do, and they love it. And that's when they're juniors and seniors, they get to do that. So my daughter lives in a live out, and she lives with five of her sorority sisters, and typically only the same sororities live in the live out. They don't commingle, like an AP doesn't live with Kappa Kappa Gamma kind of thing. So it's typically just your sorority house. And but these are the girls that they were freshmen with, and they went through bid day with, and they went through rush with. And so there's a real bond with these girls. They're called PC-19s. Like my daughter's a PC-19. She lived with PC-19s. And as they become seniors, some of the kids go to wherever their majors, because Washington State University is large and vast. So they have if you're in nursing school, you go to Spokane, and you live there, which means you don't have any digs kind of in or a place to stay in Pullman when you come back for events or football games or parents' weekends. So my daughter and 5 of her friends opened their home to 2 of their other sorority sisters who were in nursing school. So any given weekend, there could be 8 girls crashing in the same house, which is not a big deal. They're all very close, and it's normal. And so it was Parents' Weekend, and like I said, my husband and I, we alternate because I'm an athlete and a Greek. So my husband went out with my daughter and went to the game with my daughter, and my son and I went and got pedicures. I'm not going to lie, he let me do that with him, which was awesome. And so we spent the day together, had lunch, and then we went back and hung out at the house for a few hours, my daughter's house, with my son. And then my son and my husband went to dinner or whatever the dads were doing. My daughter and I went out to what's called V Hall, which is a bar. And so then we went back home. It was about 1 o'clock or so. We went back to her house, and I walked her upstairs. And yes, I tucked my child in. I tucked my children in. I kissed them goodnight. I say, I love you. I know people have had a hard time with that, but guess what? I don't care. Tuck your kid in. I don't care how old they are. You wish you had, maybe. And so I left. My husband and I then went back to our hotel and stayed in our hotel. And my son went to his dorm room. And then we got up in the morning. It was about 7. We went to my daughter at around 8 o'clock and picked her up. And we did the whole Walmart, buying the groceries for both of them, going to lunch, and just doing what you do the day after Parents Week, the Sunday after Parents Weekend, making sure they've got all their stuff. And it's about 3:30 and we're leaving. And somewhere in that timeline between that 3:30 point and 5 o'clock point, and I have it written down exactly, but we get an alert. And it says, shelter in place. There's been a homicide at U of I, which is literally, I know it's like 15 miles, whatever you say, but the reality is, if you know the location of the area, it's about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes away. In fact, we often stay in Moscow because we like it. It's nicer. Shopping's definitely better there. I'm not going to lie, guys. And I'm not being a smartass when I say that. Shopping's better in Moscow. Hotels are better in Moscow. It's just a nice place. Better restaurants, whatever. It's just nicer than Pullman. Pullman's very agricultural and very, I don't know, I don't know. There's nothing to do there, basically. So, and it's 5 minutes apart, literally. So they said University of Idaho's had a homicide. My husband and I look at each other because we both get the alerts on our phones. It's called a Cougar alert. Vandals are a vandal alert, which is University of Idaho. And so my husband calls my son. My son doesn't really know anything, but my daughter knows everything. She said, I know, Mom. And I said, what are you talking about, you know? She says, I knew this morning. And I'm like, when? She says, I don't know, like around 10. And I said, what do you know? What happened? And she said, well, 4 kids in a live out were killed at U of I. They were stabbed to death. And I said, what? Because, and in the interim, as she's speaking, I'm scrolling on my phone trying to find anything about this crime. Because I've got an alert from the school, but nothing other than an alert. And then she's got all of this knowledge. And I said, how do you know that? And she said, because one of her roommates told her. I said, well, how did she know? And she said, because her boyfriend goes to U of I. He plays football. And I said, she said, there were Pi Phis. And I said, Pi Phis? I said, how do you know that? I said, you're not a Pi Phi. And she said, I know, but her friend, who's not a Pi Phi, is also Peyton's house, said, that she's friends with them because her boyfriend who plays football, because athletes are allowed to attend Greek functions and not be Greek if you're a male. If you're a male and you're not an athlete and you're not Greek, you can't go on Greek row. That's the rule. And so I said, but how do you know this? Like what? Like, and literally, this is how I was speaking with her, because I still, when I'm thinking about it, I still get this catch my breath, like how, like, and she goes, well, 2 of the roommates survived, and I said, okay, why didn't they? They locked themselves in the bedroom downstairs. They thought it was a party, and I said, they thought it was a party? And she said, they thought it was a party, I guess. And she's like, Mom, I don't really know. And I said, but why would they think it's a party? She goes, it's a party house. And I said, qualify that. And she said, like, I don't know, Mom, like a party house, like, you know, drugs and stuff. And I said, have you been there? She goes, no, I've never been there. I'm like, well, we're going to have to test that when we get home. And so I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that. And at this point, I did not know that the police hadn't been there. She didn't know the police hadn't been there yet. Nobody knew that about the time delay until I put 2 and 2 together, which is what happened, which is how that discovery came into play. And so because the next day, so there's nothing still. We get home, I'm home, I'm like, put the TV on, there's nothing about anything. So, or that I could find anyway. Because we live about 6 hours from there. So I put it to bed with her. I just put it to rest and told her to lock her doors, obviously. And I asked her if she'd known who did it. And she said, there were people inside and there were people outside, and there was a creep. That's what I was told at that point. And I said, who's the creep? What are you talking about? She goes, I don't know, Mom. I really don't know. This is just what I've been told. And I said, okay. And she said, and I didn't, so then the next day, I learned that the police didn't get there till noon, because it's on the news, obviously. And I know my kid knew at 10. And so I call her back. And she's in class, and I'm like, leave the classroom, like now. Leave the classroom, please, now. We'll deal with that later. Because I have questions, like, I don't know what's going on. And I need to know what's happening here and that you're safe. And I said, first of all, why didn't you tell me at 10 in the morning? She said, you would have made me go home. And she's right. I would have made her go home. I would have packed them up and brought their asses home faster than you could shake a stick. I would have. She's right. I know my daughter, and she knows her mother. And, you know, I wanted to go and pick them up. And, you know, my husband talked me off that ledge. It was a fight to keep her there. My son left, and he transferred after winter quarter, but my daughter stayed to graduate. She loved college. She loved Wazoo. She still does. She wishes she was going back in August, but she graduated, so, you know, she can't do that. But, so I said, Kate, the police didn't know till noon. She goes, what are you talking about? I said, the police didn't know till noon, and you knew at 10. Why? She goes, Mom, I don't know. I was just told this information. I don't know anything. And I said, tell me again what you heard. And she told me again exactly the same, verbatim, same thing. Her stories never changed. They were there. They were awake. They were aware. They were locked in the bedroom. They thought it was a party because it was a party house. They were afraid because there was somebody outside. There was somebody in the back and somebody in the front, and there was people upstairs. But I didn't ever get to the point of the fear part until much later, just so you know that. And I don't know if she just learned that just through conversation or she had heard that in that Snapchat. So I don't know that, because, you know, when she listens to the news, things can change. So I didn't listen to the news again. I immediately called the FBI. And I didn't call Moscow police for a reason, or Poland police department for a reason, because I'm not going to lie. I didn't trust them from the gate. Don't trust either of those police departments. Never have. A lot of parents don't. A lot of students don't. And that's a problem. But, you know, did I perceive this? No, not even a little bit. Never did I picture this. I don't think anybody did. But I called on several occasions when I've known that my son did rush, the one who's an athlete, and he was offered drugs during bid day, and he was given a bid to every house, and he was the top bid, and he said he was top pledge of the year, of 20, I think it was 2021, and maybe 20. And I said, he said, I'm not doing it, Mom, I can't do it. I'm like, why? And he goes, I'm just going to play basketball, I'm not going to do it. And I said, why? What's going on? And he told me. So we had that open line of communication, and he told me that he was offered cocaine on bid day, and he just couldn't do it. He said, I don't know what, I like. And I guess the president was right behind him, and the president yelled at the guys who had offered it to him. So I called the police department, obviously, because that's what you do. You call the police when that stuff happens. And the police department, the police officer, I spoke with whoever was in charge, I don't even know what his title is. But he said, yeah, we have a heroin problem too. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Awesome. And I said, well, what are you going to do about it? He goes, we're working on it. And I'm
Can I interject for 1 second?
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, whoever this person is here, Dago, allowing lies to continue without questioning is why other YouTubers call you out. You're letting this information on your channel run rampant, and, like, that person I'll expose this. You can do what you need to do. as I've stated before, as many other people have stated before, your version of what is true and what is not is different from what Kim's version of what's true and what's not. She is telling her truth based on the information she was given at that point. So therefore, you do not know what's true or what's not because you have no relation to that scenario. If you do, then you need to say what you believe is true if you have a relation to that situation, is what I'm stating, okay? You can't call somebody out not knowing what they know or don't know, is what I'm stating. And it's wrong to do that. She has no reason to tell something other than what she believes is her truth, okay? If you have a true fact that that will contradict what she's stating, then show that. Otherwise, you really don't have the right to state that she's telling lies. And I would appreciate some kind of respect towards her as a guest of the channel. And if you're not comfortable with that, I understand, but that's all I can say. So again, my apologies for interrupting. I think you might need to turn your mic up just a little bit, Kim. I think
Oh, am I quiet? Okay, sorry.
You've got a lot of air or something
Yeah,
in the
the wind.
background.
I think the wind is blowing into your mic or something.
Okay. Oh, I did, right? Okay, hold on.
There we go. That definitely sounds better. So again, sorry for interrupting, and thank you for letting me clarify that.
And here's the thing: if I have it wrong, I want to have it wrong. I just want everybody to know this. I don't want to be right. And if you've got a fact or something that you know, say something. Tell somebody something. What I want is safety for these children and justice for the children who are gone and the families. So I don't care if I'm wrong. This is the information I've been given.
Well, so this same person is saying, where are we at here? Somebody said if Jack's alibi is a lie, show me where that's true. And now they also are stating, I have a feeling I know who this is. 1 second here. I need to question what you're stating, I guess, which I don't believe is an issue here because it is your truth based on what you have been told, based on somebody that has been close to the situation. But I'm trying to find this other question real quick and then I can, or statement, I should say. And it states right here, and I'm sorry, Kim, if this upsets you. I'm trying not to do that.
It's okay. It's not upsetting me at all. I don't want Jack to have anything. I want to be wrong.
Right, I agree with you. Unless she spoke with Dylan or Bethany, there's no way Kim or her daughter would have known any of those things. Do you have anything to respond to in that sense?
So here's the thing. I can't give. That's information. There's information I can't share. That would be one of the things I can't share.
Okay, and I understand that completely. There's certain situations that can't be shared for reasoning.
Right. Because it's just not appropriate at this time. And when it is out and when it is, then I will clarify what I know. But I'm sorry that I'm not being coy. I'm really not. I'm sorry that I can't share everything right at the moment. I wish I could. I wish I could scream at the mountaintops every single thing I know and then it would just be done and people would have peace. I can't. It's not how it works.
Right, that's understandable.
No, I get it. I absolutely do. I really do. That's why I pulled these questions or these statements so that can be clarified. That's all. So
yeah, I mean, I just can't clarify that person. And also, what if I'm wrong and the information is wrong? And then I don't want to do more damage to these kids. I don't think Jack DeCour hurt anybody. I don't think he hurt his. I think he loved Kaylee. I think that all of these children likely could have stopped it from happening by saying something to somebody, their parents. I think they were all sucked into something that was way bigger than them. That's what I think. If I think any of these kids are guilty, that's what I think. They're guilty of being naive and being taken advantage of. There's some victims too.
Yeah.
Let me just ask a question then. So, because I'm trying to keep this, like I said, linear. So you mentioned, what your daughter told you from the Snapchats or whatever she saw, and she was telling you, what was going on. So this is what I've heard from so far. That you said that they were downstairs, locked in a bedroom together. They thought there was a party, something was going on. You said they said people were in the back of the house, people were in the front of the house, people were upstairs, or they heard somebody upstairs. Okay, so after you guys had a conversation about the Snapchat messages, then you guys had another conversation, and this was about your daughter's sorority friend or whatever, the boyfriend, and I call him frat guy. I call her sorority girl and frat guy. And frat guy was with Jack DeCour and Adam, because Jack DeCour and Adam are roommates. They were at the corner club earlier, and then they supposedly went back home. So can you pick this story up from right in there for us, please?
So right in there. So there was at some point this occurred right before Thanksgiving break. So then they went back to school for 3 weeks and she came back for Christmas. And there became this moment where Dylan's statement for the PCA come out. And it was organic. That's not true. she had just woken up. It was absolutely organic what she said. That PCA statement, that's not true. That's not, because my son looked at her and said, look what they're saying. And she said, that's not true. And so far, to date, nothing they've said has been not true to me. Nothing this 10 o'clock group has said has not been true. So I have no reason not to believe them. She was organic in that statement. The PCA is not true. And I said, okay. And she said, and then somehow we got to the point of the alibi and Jack D and Adam's alibi, because so their supposed alibi, my understanding was with them all night. And that's what I believed it to be. Then I found out he apparently slept at my daughter's house. So, and I've gone back and forth and back. And so I called the FBI back, because I called them all the time. And they said, we've discovered several lies in the alibis. And that's what their exact words to me were. They've discovered several lies in the alibis. And I told them what it was. And we were assigned an officer, an Idaho State Patrolman at that point then. And I know that everything is in there. So I believe that they believe whatever has been told, because the defense's investigator has called me and asked for confirmation. And I'll confirm with anybody. I don't know what he did, if he did or not. I'm not saying I don't know. I do not know. Just want the right person to go down for it, because these kids go back to school in 3 weeks. So that's all I can tell you at this point about the alibi, is that the alibi, according to what I knew as their alibi, does not wash. It doesn't make sense. 1 and 1 does not make 2.
And just to clarify real quick, not to interrupt again, but I need to do these things. Just to clarify, you did, I know you told me personally, contact law enforcement to tell them this situation, correct?
I did. I called and told them every single thing I've ever learned. If I get any information on anything, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Snoopy mom. They leave their watches home. Apple Watches, I'm dusting their room, it beeps. I'm gonna look. Sorry, I am.
Right.
Right? My job is not to let you get away with shit. My job is to parent you. So there you go. But and I have no shame in that game. So if I get something, and I'll ask them, and I'll talk to them, and I will talk for them in this situation 100%. And they can either believe me or they don't have to believe me. But I'm not going to put my kid in harm's way.
Right.
So people can believe me. You don't have to believe me. It's okay if you don't. I'm just telling you, I don't believe the kids are safe there over at those schools. I don't.
Right.
I mean, we transfer our kids to the East Coast.
Real quick here too, because this has been asked 3 or 4 different times.
Right.
Is there any possibility? I don't believe that you should have to do this, but other people do. It says that I wanted to see the alerts that Kim just stated that you received at 5:30 a.m. stating that there was a homicide, because those are nowhere else to be found. Mama Bear had stated that you can go to the school website and it should show that. But do you have a way?
You know what, Daniel? I think Daniel has it and Lana has it. Okay. I don't know if I still have it on my phone, because I changed phones, and I'm no longer, so I can't access the parent sites anymore for Wazoo, because my kids don't attend anymore.
Right. And I know Daniel did say that he had those. That's when
yes, I'll look for them. I'll see if I can find them. I'm happy to get that to them.
The alert should be on the school's Facebook page.
Facebook,
Twitter, all of that.
Right. It's crazy what they erased, though. It's crazy how much stuff is erased. Honestly, that's why I started screenshotting things.
I was going to say, it was there, because that's when I found it. I mean, you got to do some digging, but it was there. But that's been a couple months or so ago.
Right.
So
And like with Kopaka, all that stuff is like gone. Like, gone. And I got an alert at 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
You know?
That's the weird part of it. Yeah, I agree. So, but thanks for clarifying.
I do still have a question.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to
ask.
No,
that's okay. Because, I just, didn't want us to get off into a different subject or whatever. While we're still, some of us are still thinking about this. So let me just, I guess, tell you what my understanding of the alibi situation was, Kim, and you can tell me where I've got that wrong, where, I'm not remembering it correctly or what. So I thought I remembered that. Okay, so your daughter has the friend, sorority girl or whatever, somebody that's no longer there. And everybody was in town, for the weekend, and she came from somewhere else. She's still dating this guy who's in school. Instead of frat guy, we'll call him baller guy, because somebody said he wasn't in a frat in chat. So your daughter's friend comes to see your daughter and the boyfriend, the baller guy, okay? And instead of, this is what I, was remembering, instead of him spending the night with his girlfriend, he was supposed to have been at Jack Decor's and Adam's place playing video game or whatever, games or whatever, and then, they went to sleep. And that's what I thought was the original alibi. So, and now, and this, your daughter's friend stayed with your daughter at her house, correct?
Correct.
So, and then later, did you just say that your daughter said that the daughter's boyfriend, or not your daughter's boyfriend, the daughter's friend's boyfriend, baller guy, was also at your daughter's house? That's what you said? Okay, so he was actually there, but Jack and Adam are in the wind. Nobody knows what their alibi is. Okay.
I believe Jack that to be that I had believed that to be their alibi, and which is I confirmed that with the FBI, and then when I realized that he actually did stay at my daughter's, that he
So
was
baller guy was never their alibi, is what you
right.
found out later. Okay.
Yes, and I corrected that. Yeah, right.
Okay.
I mean, it's I don't know. These get me.
When you contacted law enforcement, and sorry to interrupt again.
No, that's not.
When you contact law enforcement, are you able to state who it is that you give the information to when you do it, or no?
So, it's been a learning curve. No, not really. I don't. I think Daniel has a better idea of what officers I've spoken with, because that's a lot of, it's a lot of papers, it's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of information, and I would I have had one Idaho State Patrolman that I spoke with, and I kind of know who he is, but I don't feel like I should say who he is.
Okay, well, I know that one officer. I think this is why it's being asked, is because I think it's an Officer Tolson that's in question right now, based on what
under Brady Gigler.
In the end, Taylor's all that stuff. So I think that's why they're asking, because he has been brought into question. They wondered if he was the person, because it had stated that he had taken tips and did certain things and different information. So that could be why people are wondering. So
and I really actually can't.
I understand. I understand completely. So absolutely, I get it.
And I will tell everybody one day. I promise. I promise I will tell everybody everything I know or don't know. But I've never said anything that isn't true on purpose. And I correct it if it's not true. If it's not true, I'll correct it. I'll be the first.
Like I say all the time, these are your truths, okay, based on what you believe you know. It doesn't mean it's a lie. It just means that it may be some misinformation that was changed around or was misunderstood, but she will bring it correct when the time comes.
When the time is right.
So thank you. And I do apologize once again for interrupting. If we can pick up.
That's okay. You're not interrupting.
Dolphin, where was the where did we leave off at? I know you're pretty good at remembering these things, because
so she cleared up the alibi statement, that previous statement. So I guess anything else that you've heard after that?
There's things that I'm not going to lie and say there's nothing else I've heard. But there's nothing else I can say.
I guess pertinent conversation or pertinent things from your daughter or from their friends or whatever that you could say.
So I recently called one of my daughter's friends. Because my daughter, it's hard for my daughter, because it's a really painful thing for her to be going through, honestly. They're living in this, and they're trying to live a normal world, but they know this thing happened, and they have conscience. Obviously, my daughter has a conscience. She told me, knowing I would pull her ass out of school, and it was a fight for me to keep her. And honestly, we went back and forth, because I was afraid, and I had to let her live, and and I gave her a taser. Now she can't fly through she can't go through the fast place with me. She has to go through TSA now because she accidentally had it in her backpack. Like, this has consequences. I know that's a small one, but it's a consequence. It affects these kids. All of it has affected these children. She never gets to go through, what is that, clear check or whatever, fast check? She's always got to wait in the long line. That's not a major, right? It's not what anybody else went through, but it's a consequence.
Well, better safe than sorry, too. So
better safe than sorry. She just forgot it was in her backpack. And so I think that, so what I do know, the information I do know from people reaching out, because I want if anybody's on here and you know what happened and you're a kid or like a student and you know anything, I promise you this: I will protect you. I will walk with you. I will not let anybody. I will not let anybody harm you. I will walk with you if you say something. But the more you stick together, you guys, the more these kids stick together and say something, they are stronger if they start talking to their parents. Parents, ask your children what they know. If your kids are over there, they know something. If these kids stand together, we can put an end to this. Otherwise, kids are going to keep dying. People are going to keep dying. These people mean it. They're not kidding. They're dangerous. This isn't just one crime. And the police officer did say it was parallel crimes.
I'm glad you said that again. So you said parallel crimes last night. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dago, were you going to say something?
I was just getting ready to state, I think everybody's thinking the same thing.
The same thing? Mm-hmm.
Just asked to clarify that as well. And a couple other people did. So if you want to go into that, Kim, whatever you can with that would be
I will go into I will not go into one side of it, but I will go into...
Well, hold on one quick second. Are you talking about parallel investigations? Because I know last night you had said the FBI were already there, blah, blah, blah. What happened on the night of, November 13th kind of interfered with something else they already had going on. And I had asked in chat, was it FBI and say DEA? Were already like on the ground and, had an operation going. And then, 11/22, that happening just kind of like blew up everything.
It's a special task force.
I will say before you go any further with that, I'm going to say, and nobody's going to pressure her, there is one specific investigation she's not going to talk about. I already know what it's about, and it's going to be left alone. And if nobody likes that, you're going to have to deal with it, because I will not allow her to talk about it on my channel for her own well-being, and she doesn't want to do it anyway. So that's where we're going to go from here on out. Once again, my apologies. Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
So they're trying to so it's their drug task force. It's a quad. I think it's called the Quad 4, and it's in different areas, and they've brought Moscow into it recently. They've been there since about 2015. They have been working on this drug problem, and it's a crisis, actually, over there. And I do believe that the children were harmed because they knew something, and it was a notice, put everybody else on notice to shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Tailgating tickets, those, I've never heard of them. Those are about, we're watching you. Noise complaints, we're listening. Keep your mouth shut. That's what that is. That's what I truly and firmly believe that happened here. That's what this is. And I believe they're very close to solving, or they were, and it blew it out of the water. And that's what I really believe happened. And there's many legs to it, right? If you think about how many people were over there. I called the FBI and they were there. Like, they didn't know about the crime when I called them, but I turned on the news after I called, and they were there. They were boots on the ground already.
Do you remember when you called them? Like within a day or so?
It was within a day. I had to put the pieces together. At first, I thought I called him right away the next morning in my memory. But then when I went back over my cell phone with Daniel and stuff, and you're free to ask Daniel those questions too. He'll tell you what dates. He has my cell phone records unredacted. He's not going to put them out. If I talk to you and I tell you something and I share with you privately, my expectation is you will keep it private. I learned a lesson there. So, but I trust Dago, and I trust you, and I think that Daniel would, and I think that you could ask him. Lana knows, right? I reach out to her. I reach out to Olivia. I never speak with the families directly. If they have a question, it comes to me through Olivia, and I do my best to answer or find an answer. And sometimes I can't, but sometimes I can, and then I tell. And I could be wrong too. So when people say I change up my whatever I'm saying, I'm not changing anything. This is fluid.
Right.
This is still going on. Things change. Facts are wrong. Nothing's set in stone yet. I just wanted to get set in stone so that the danger's gone. So please don't think I don't want to be known. I kept my face out of it. My social media is blacked out. I didn't go on a discovery of me. Somebody else did. And I wasn't going to let anybody get harmed being blamed for what I said or did. That's why I came forward with my face.
Right. Another thing that I wanted to ask you. Do you know, because I know you're more affiliated with WSU or whatnot. I'm not sure how much connections or how many connections you have to Moscow or whatever, but do you know if the kids, or does your daughter know if the kids are saying anything about Jack Showalter, or like what they're saying about him, if he's still wherever he disappeared to or whatever?
He had a really good family friend who goes to Wazoo, or went to Wazoo, and she came out for him, backing him up. And do I know if Showalter was a part? I don't know.
What did she say to back him up?
That he was not. He didn't go to Africa. He didn't even leave. He didn't go to Boise. He went. I think he was in Pullman. But I don't know. My kid never saw that. My kids never saw him. They probably couldn't pick him out of a lineup. But he was there at that night. When they got their ride home, he just had to walk to that house. I mean, it's such a small little area, and so it's hard not to like, I've gone running past the grub truck a plethora of times. My son, during COVID, he played ball there, and so I would run past there, like, it was part of my, my running routine every day. So, and I run at night. I felt safe there. I would run at night, late at night, not a problem, because it was cooler outside. Whatever. I don't like to run in the heat. So, so it was safe. I understand them feeling safe, but as far as students being involved, I have two things to say about that. First of all, the girls that were on 20/20 and 48 Hours, I don't know their names. I don't even know what house they're in, but that are friends with them, stated that they were there in the morning. They knew in the morning. So there you go. There's that. And there's a fraternity house, Sigma Chi, is adamant to the point they wanted to find Dave, who was on Lana and Daniel's show, find Dave, because Dave was saying that he knew at 8 o'clock in the morning, that everybody knew. And he realized when I was saying
to work.
Right. And so Daniel came out and said something to the effect that, he said that he called in sick to work. Well, I don't believe that's what the conversation was. I believe what he had said was he called into work and he wanted to stay with his fraternity brothers because of what happened, but they already knew what happened. The town had known. And then it went to the overdosing and the whatever. And I don't know if between that 8 and 10 o'clock period, they came up with a narrative to share with you, to send out. I can't believe it wasn't on purpose. that this narrative was sent out to many students at 10 o'clock stating what my daughter got. I think she just received a narrative. I don't know if that narrative is true. Do I think it was true? I think, no. I think that it was planted. I think that they wanted this narrative to be so. They waited 8 hours. They were awake. They were aware. I don't know what they knew. They could have been afraid, but not too afraid to call people over. Not too afraid to clean the house. Sigma Chi was very aware. Otherwise, I'm just saying, this is my feeling, my theory, right? So don't come at me. Everybody's got one. And me as a mom, I'd be saying to the Sigma Chi's, well, how do you know it was, like, why would you have to be called? Maybe they wouldn't call you because they didn't want Ethan's brother to know. Why are you so adamant about this time frame? Why? And they've got another channel who's all over this and backing them up and has said they went to find Dave, but they got the wrong guy. What did you want to find Dave to do?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I have a real problem with that. And if anybody and I'm going to put this out there too, don't find Dave. Leave him alone. He did the right thing. He told what he knew. Don't find Dave. That's not okay. You'll make it worse. You're all in danger until you decide to say what you know. It doesn't matter. Facing this now is eventually it will come out. Face it now together as a group before somebody else dies. Before you're going to more funerals.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I was thinking about how to word this question. No, genuine thank you for that. What was I going to say? Oh, has your daughter said anything about what the kids have been saying about Dylan and Bethany?
They don't talk about it. So this is really an interesting thing. So we had Parents Weekend again in April. I don't know, right? They just want to make us over the cool a little more, I think. That's my husband and I say. So we had Parents Weekend again in April, and we went to breakfast in Moscow. And she said, don't say anything. And I'm like, what do you mean? You can't talk about it. Like, talk about it. She goes, you know. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why can't I? And she said, you're not allowed to talk about it. And I said, why?
And I will say, before you finish that, sorry to interrupt, but that is true. Rory was on the ground out there, and it has been well known and told. If we've heard it live, you can't talk. It's not to be talked about. It's sin out there now. So I agree with that.
Right.
Where's that directive coming from, though? Who's telling people not to talk about it?
I have no idea. So I think Greek Row is really Greek Row. There is a law, and I know Dave went through this too. It's the Sam's Law, and where you can do, if it doesn't matter what condition you're in, what drugs you've done, doesn't matter what. You call 911 to get help for a friend, you're okay. Everybody with you is okay. Now, Dave thinks it's just the driver or the person, one person. My understanding is everybody, but it's 2 different states, so it could be that way in Idaho. I'm not questioning him. I do, but the goal is if somebody is in peril and it looks like they're going to lose their lives, call 911, then you call your house mother, then you call the officers in your house. But if it's not, let's say it's like a DUI, then you call your house mother, and then you keep it in-house. It's, you don't air your dirty laundry. That's how we grew up with. We keep it. What does that get us? What does secrets get us? Nothing good. Secrets are bad.
That's a fact.
Right? You don't have to air your dirty laundry, but secrets are bad.
I think it was, I just dropped their comment. I'm sorry. It was a question. They wanted you to, did you have anything else before I move forward?
No, not yet. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
That's fine. And by the way, I didn't get to say this. Welcome, Mama Bear. It's great to have you here, dear. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
The question was, can you go more into or clarify a little bit more about the creeper and the stinky guy?
I really can't because I don't know who they are. I just know that is all I know about them.
And there's not to explain. I guess I don't know if that was the question is to explain about.
I thought he was a plumber. Somewhere along the line, and I could have just heard that elsewhere. But a stinky guy and he was a plumber is kind of what, or the plumber for the school, and he was coming to fix the house.
Okay. Gotcha.
That is part of that. There was a plumber who was going to fix the house, and I think over Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
And I don't know when I learned that.
Gotcha. There we go. I hope that clarifies and answers the question. Let me check something here. Mama Bear, did you have any specific questions for her by any means?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I know you've already done this a couple times, but I just wanted to make sure everybody's getting their options. I'm trying to look at chat right now. If there's anything else. Oh, okay. Somebody had mentioned it a while back here about the timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you feel as far as the timeline? What are your thoughts? And, what do you think the timeline is yourself?
I think it's exact. Like what time they were. I think I really. I honestly, could not give you. I don't really know what the timeline is. To be honest with you, I know that they were. I know that people knew it. I know they were gone by 4. Before 4. I do know that because I don't even know why I know that. Maybe I've heard that. I know some kids were there at 4 a.m. and some kids were there at like 8 or 6 a.m. And then
Wait, say that again.
You just
got muffled.
Yeah, you went away from me. It's okay.
I knew at like, I think my understanding is that there were people there at 4 a.m. and then there were people, but I know that there were definitely kids who knew at 8 and definitely kids who knew at 10. I believe kids were there at 4 or people were there at 4.
Okay.
So but I don't think, and then there's a whole bunch of other things that really do interfere with that knowledge. Like, why would Xana lie to her dad about being home at midnight watching movies with her boyfriend? Like,
and that was something I had talked about a while back. And as a college kid, and you're a college mom, sometimes our kids, if they know that we worry about them or that we don't, they're still kids in the end, and it would tell us something to make us feel better, whether it's true or not. And that's something I said. I'm not saying that she did lie to her. Right. I'm saying if she did, that could be a reason why. So he doesn't worry about her situation. If there was something that was going on, pretense, maybe they had talked about that, and he was checking on her. Are you home? Are you safe? What's good? What's going on? And that could have been why, if that actually happened. So there's that. Right. And exactly. And I, it's funny. I've had a conversation with my son since then, and he was doing something like, just call me if you're not gonna be home. You're 20, dude. Like, what? Don't lie. Let's not be adults and lie. We don't do that. So I do get that. Maybe she was just making her dad feel secure, right? Because maybe her dad worries. I get it. I worry like a wart. Oh God, it's my go-to hobby. I love to worry. Yes. Right. Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah. And so I get that. So that could be. So I don't know about the timeline. I think the only people who really know about the timeline for real are the roommates who were there and whoever was involved. And so I don't know. I don't know about the DoorDash. I don't know, like, all that stuff. It's just extra stuff that's added to this just to convolute it, I think. I think the people who did this are very smart. I think they were very, very measured in what they did. There was a purpose to it.
Do you feel like this was highly premeditated or a fly-by-night premeditation?
I feel like that it was intended to be not just, but I feel like it was intended to be a shakedown, to scare them into shutting up, not saying a word. Go your way, say nothing, and no, you're not getting out of it. You're going to continue to do whatever we say you do until we're done with you. That's what I think. And I think the people they sent to do that, and I don't know, they took it, I don't know if they were under the influence of drugs. I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And I think that did Brian go in to clean up, or was he not even there? I can't even, it's bizarre if you think about it, that a school that's as highly accredited as Washington State University would hire 2 people who are insane and too much at the same time. Like, what? Because I called the school and I'm like, who's vetting these people? I have 5 students who've gone through your school. Who's vetting these people? I want my money back. Like, what? Mm-hmm. That's insane. The fact that I only own $27 pisses me off. Yeah, I'm not going to pay it. They can keep it a collection.
I get it.
You know what I mean? It's not even about the money. It's about the honesty, transparency.
Right.
I sent you my child. I trusted you. And you did this. So I have a hard time with that believing that that's the case. Honestly, do I think it's? I don't know. I can't say I don't know.
Okay. Jovio's asking specific questions about things, and if you're not comfortable with this, I don't want you to get upset. Keep calm. You don't have to answer these questions.
Okay.
And it says, can you ask him how she knows that Xana could have been pregnant per se, and the situation? I think these are questions that came out of this email that I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question because that's not my place. That is not my place to answer.
And then the other question, again, and I'm sure this is going to be the same, was the question or the statement that was made in that as well about a specific body part that was removed.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this. I thought I was speaking to a detective who was actually going to move forward positively with this and do something about it. Privately, I was speaking to him. My only way to get to this detective was to go through this YouTuber, and that's what I did, and I trusted the wrong person.
Right.
Oh, and Kim, so that information that was at the bottom of that email about the wounds and whatnot, that was what you got from the ISP officer with loose lips on the phone? Is that what I heard last night?
Some of it, yes.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Not all of it, but some of it. Some of it came from another source, and I'm not going to share that source either.
Okay.
Right.
I'm happy to do that later, and actually I'll probably never talk about that again because I truly was just giving it to... I had a purpose for calling the ISP officer, a genuine, organic purpose for something for a girl who I would want.
Mm-hmm. Remind us again, why did you call him? I
because I wanted something to go make sure something went to Xana's sister, and I would want somebody to do that for my girls. if I wasn't around, right? No,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Sad.
It's all right. It's all right. Take a breath. Take a breath. All right. Relax.
I just didn't want the world to know. And
I know.
Yeah.
I know all about that.
So
I will say this. I want to say this. God bless you for doing that, wanting to do that, and even thinking about doing that. Okay. I just take a breath, relax, and we are going to move in a different direction with a little bit here because I don't like asking you these specific questions.
It's okay. You can ask me anything. I can choose not to
People are
answer.
demanding things, and that's why I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm not up here to.
Right.
How things happened or what she knew.
Yes, I know. And I listen, for anybody that doesn't understand this, while you're taking a breath, Kim, for anybody that doesn't understand this, and I'll reiterate this for the 3000th time. The email that was sent to this specific person was sent with the thought in mind that there was a quote unquote real detective that was involved in that situation that was going to be able to in turn do the right thing and help with what was put in there. Okay. Instead, they chose to go against what they told her and try to expose this whole situation and make it seem as if she was making all these things up, which she didn't. These are, again, truths to her that were told to her from people that were semi-close to this situation at that time. Okay. In turn, like I said, she was trying to do something good, get some good out of this by going to a law enforcement official that she thought that could help with that situation. That is why that was done. How they handled it is how they handled it. That she had no control over that, and therefore is why she has issues with trusting certain scenarios now, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her. So that's for anybody that doesn't understand that. And I'm just giving it to you for what it is, guys. That's all there is to it. Welcome, Lana. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Okay. So, like she says, chin up, Kim. Are you okay now, hon? Are you still there? Okay. She's having trouble with her internet too, so where are we at here?
Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on chat, but I don't know, there's probably questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird to have a fire in a lake, but whatever.
Absolutely no
And
worries.
nobody was hurt, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I can't be mad.
That's awesome. Good to hear.
Yep. So I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. Welcome back. Good to have you here. Now, to pick up where we left off, I think the story has been told. Did you hear everything you wanted to hear, Dolphin, as far as her retelling that situation and everything?
Yes. I mean, if that's all that she actually knows,
Mm-hmm.
from her daughter or whatever, then yes. I was trying to scroll back up because Jules had a question about a call. Was
Oh,
she,
yeah,
what
that's
was
right.
it?
Right, yes.
Was she there at 10 a.m. when her daughter received the call?
So it wasn't a phone call. That was Snapchat.
We can't, honey, you're way far away, it sounds like.
Oh, it does? Okay,
there you go. That's perfect.
Oh, I found it.
So it wasn't a phone call. They were Snapchats. Not phone calls.
Somebody, Jules had asked, you know who Jules is. She had asked,
Yes,
let me find the exact
Yeah.
question again.
Nope.
If you have timestamps on it, it's at 3:24 p.m. 2:24 for you. Yep, that's it.
Right.
She basically restated the question in that same one.
Okay. Did you find it, Mother?
That one.
That's it. If your daughter, it said if your daughter got a phone call and she walked off to take the call around 10 a.m., would you have noticed that?
No, that would be normal behavior, actually.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, and it was a Snapchat, so I'm always at them to put your phones down. They know to put them down at the table, dinner table. There's times they can't have their phones, but they're a part of their body. It's like I gave birth to a cell phone and a child at the same time, honestly.
Right.
It's the nature of the beast.
Yes, ma'am. Jules is stating after that, but I thought, she thought you had been saying it was a phone call from the sorority sister.
Okay, so I might have said phone call, but it was a Snapchat. I wasn't born with a cell phone attached to my body, so I am, and I'm 58, so when your phone is in your hands and you're communicating to me, it's just like, it's a phone call. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just verbiage. And I guess I should be clear in this kind of situation, which
No worries.
I'm trying to be.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I understand why Julius would be confused. Like, I said it was a phone call, but it was a Snapchat. To me, they're kind of a text and a phone call, the same kind of thing.
Right, and it was a group Snapchat,
It was
right?
a group Snapchat.
Not a personal one.
Right. And but the
That's
other
what
side
Jules
is-
wanted to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was a group snap, and the good thing is that it was Parents' Weekend, so they were memorialized. And that is why I believe the 10 o'clock kids could have theirs pulled back, because they were memorialized. If it's not memorialized, my understanding, and listen, this is just my layman's terms, a video will survive and can be recovered. A Snapchat that is not memorialized cannot be recovered. If it has been memorialized, it will go away but can be recovered. That's my understanding. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I do believe they pulled back they were able to get a lot of the Snapchats. And I did give permission for them to go into our cloud.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
But I don't get to get them. That's the odd thing. I feel like it's my phone. I pay for it. Like, let's be real here. And so I should be able to have it, but I don't. And that's okay. I don't need it. I don't need the information. As long as the right people have the information, I'm okay with that. My understanding is they have been recovered. And so these kids are going to get found out anyway, and it's better if they come forward now or whoever did this, come forward now. It's out. There's nothing to hide anymore. And it wasn't that long ago that I learned that they were recovered. It was not even a month ago, I don't think.
Right. Has there been, if I can ask, has there been anything that you've heard? I just probably was already asked once, but, and if it has been, I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow everything and all that, so I might get lost a little bit here and there.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries.
What the heck was I going to say now? See, that's what happens. Has there been anything like that you have heard? Okay, first of all, the first question I had from a while back. Has Peyton had any kind of issue since this has all started happening? Anything that she's had to deal with that you know of, or has she spoke about?
Well, we've had one issue that caused concern. Yeah.
Okay, and everything's
safety concern. She's fine. Yeah, I mean, we're in a position where we're lucky. I mean, we have resources that I can, she's not here now. She's gone now.
No, I understand. That's fine.
But yes, there was a scary situation that we didn't want to blow up, or she didn't want to be over, we don't want to be dramatic about it, but it was scary enough to send her in a merry way.
I get it, and that's wonderful. I'm glad that she's safe.
Yes, right. I'm blessed that I can do that. That's
Yes, ma'am. Next question I had personally was, has there been, and like I said, this may have already been asked and answered, and if so, my deepest apologies. But has there been anything new that you have heard via, the grapevine, through the wind, that may be going on that that could be? I'm trying to put this so that it can be in a way that you can answer it.
So I can't tell you what it is, but that's true. There's new things going on. There's movement.
Something. Okay. Definitely, I understand. And
but I can't disclose that.
I get that too completely. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. That's all. What the heck? Did Dolphin? Did you have any other questions to put up to her directly, or Mama Bear, or anybody? And then I can just move into the chat and see what we can see here.
Oh no, not yet. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here typing back in the chat.
That I will keep. If there's somebody out, if you know something and you're afraid, and you reach out to Dago or to Lana or to anybody, Jules, if you reach out to them, I will do everything within my power to make sure you're safe too, because you matter. I don't care what happened. I don't care what's going on. If you're afraid to speak, the best thing you can do is speak. But I promise you, I will do whatever I can to keep you safe. And I mean that. I truly mean that. I'm not just talking.
I believe you do. So yeah, that's not an issue here.
Right.
I think anybody that has listened to you that knows who you are truly believes that as well. And I once again, God bless you for being that person.
Oh, well,
you know what I mean?
That's the easy part, right? That's the easiest part of it. The family.
Right.
This is it. That's
okay.
Easy. That's easy.
Right. All right. Everybody in chat, this is your time. This is your place. So let's. You want me to slow down again? Okay, guys, hold on. Okay, well, guys, if you have questions that you want to specifically ask, and you guys already know the questions you're probably not going to answer or be able to answer, go for it. Get them rolling, folks.
Yeah, and if you've already typed a question, maybe scroll back up and copy and paste it so it'll appear down towards the bottom.
And I read chats, but I only read the nice ones usually. So, and I try and answer when I can. And mostly everybody's nice. I just don't re-listen to it. So, you're always free to ask. I don't care what you can ask. There's nothing you can do to hurt my feelings. Well, there's a few things maybe, but those have been done. Tried and true. So we know what they are.
Okay, there's one question. Mystic Virgo says, Kim, do you think arrests are imminent?
I hope so. I don't know. I can't. I wish I had faith that they were.
Right. I
do think they need to be.
I do get it. Sherry Coles asks, the autopsy would know when the girls passed away because of the food that they ordered at the grub truck. I don't know if that's really a question or a statement, but
I agree.
I
agree with that. They should know. They should have time of death should not be a question. Right.
Yeah, that should have been dealt with by the coroner via doing a liver test. But I don't.
They should have done that on scene.
I agree, but here we see how everything else was handled, so you know.
Right. Right. I mean, it's insane.
It is. It really is. The timeline and all that stuff with it. Thank you, War Eagle. War Eagle asked him, "Did you hear Kaylee saw a man in a mask that night when she was walking Murphy at 2 a.m.?"
I did not hear that Kaylee saw somebody. I only heard that the roommate saw somebody.
Okay.
The survivors.
Right. Either Dylan or Bethany or both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
But I heard that they saw him from inside, not outside.
Like through a window, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
Got you. Michael Wimmer is saying, "Can you please ask him what you believe the motive of the crime was?"
To shut them up. I believe that it was initiated to shut them up, and I believe maybe the people who were hired to do it or told to do it went overboard.
Right.
I think maybe. My thought was they had to be on, like, on drugs or something. Like, nobody does that without having something wrong with them.
Absolutely. Somebody had asked this. I don't know kind of where this. I think I might know what this is about, and it might be being misconstrued. But about the bloody clothes in a bag by your dryer.
Okay, so are you talking about that was at the laundromat?
That's what I think they're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I heard the same thing. I didn't hear anything other than that there were bloody fingerprints. That is something new that I heard yesterday about clothes being found, and it has to do with the house. That's all I know. I don't know anything other than what was on the news.
To clarify this, when you had talked about this before, it was at a laundromat. It was not.
It was at a laundromat, right?
Yeah,
and it wasn't clothes; it was fingerprints.
Right. Fingerprints on a washer or dryer, and it wasn't at her house. Again, I had to clarify that once before for people. It was.
When was this?
I know what you're talking about. I do know what you're talking about. I'm not going to talk about that now.
Okay.
They're talking about my daughter's house. I'm not going to talk about that right now. And it wasn't bloody clothes. It was a blood on the washing machine.
Right.
In my daughter's house. There was no bloody clothes involved. The police opted not to do DNA testing. I thought, this is probably a good time, if any. And I said to them, don't you think this is a good time to probably, I don't know, grab some DNA if you can? I don't know. Make a collection. Make a file book. I don't know. You know, get a binder. I don't give you a binder. Put people in it. I don't know. But it seems like you wasted an opportunity to get DNA.
And this was after November 13th?
Yeah, it was. It was in my daughter's live out in the basement.
Like, a few days after? Or
no, months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're talking about. Otherwise, I know about the bloody fingerprints in the laundromat, which was right after. And I thought that was in a Pullman laundromat, but it could have been in a Moscow, and I don't know. And I don't even know if they ever proved it was blood. I did hear that, but I think that was a news thing. And then I did hear that they found bloody clothes yesterday in the house.
In the house itself?
Yeah, 11, 12, 22. And that could be a rumor.
Where did you hear that?
I heard it. Oh, gosh. Well, I don't listen to mainstream news anymore, so it would have had to be on YouTube.
On YouTube somewhere?
I heard it. I'm not going to be able to. All I know is I heard that and I thought, what?
Yeah, okay.
Didn't they send the biohazard cleaning crew in there?
They did.
Just recently?
A couple times, yeah.
And now
the house was cleaned before that, right?
Well, it wasn't. They stopped cleaning.
We talked about this once before in one of my shows about the possibility of somebody putting things inside ventilation systems in the walls because the house.
I do remember that.
Yeah, the house was a piece of shit that you could very easily pry a board apart or do something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And so I did call them because I looked at the kids on the roof. Kids love to go on the roof. Kids, don't go on the roof. That's stupid. It's a dumb idea. Please don't do it.
Right? Yeah.
And so I called them and I said, and it made me think that house has bone-in insulation and crawls because it's got 3 different remodels on it. They could have dropped anything in the wall. The kids drop things in the wall like time capsules. So like when my daughter moved out of her live out, they don't drop harmful things. Like there was an old Olympia beer can from like the first year it was made or something. My daughter found 1932 cookbooks in her walls. So they dropped like a little time capsule or something to say we were here, this is our live out. Right? It's kind of a tradition. So I thought, why wouldn't they drop something else in? And so I did call the FBI back that day and I said, it's just a thought. I'm just being a mom. And then that night I saw, remember when they took the paper bags out of the house? That night, it wasn't the Cowboys. Those were the Quad 4. The Marshals were the Quad 4 with the Cowboy hats. It was just the investigators came out with paper bags. That was the same day I called them. They went in at night. I think they do a lot of things at night there to keep away, like bringing Brian in to Moscow at night because
nobody's there to see it, and typical media is not really going to be up in your face and things like that. I get that. Yeah, that's
and there's no lights anywhere. It's there's no lights. Like it's dark at night there. So that's smart though.
Right, it's very dark. Yeah, very dark, very smart. I agree. Were you going to say something, Dolphin, or no?
I just said right, but actually something did occur to me to ask her. Does your daughter know anybody who knows Brian Koberger since she attends WSU?
So she does. Some of her friends are his students. Were his students. My son is pre-law. He was in classroom 13. Brian was in classroom 12. Now, he never had Brian He never ran into. My kid is an undergrad, second year undergrad. He's actually a fresher, if we're gonna be honest. Just like Ethan, they like college. They have a good time, right? So no shame there, right? If you're gonna do it 5 years, go 5 years. But they're good kids, right? They don't. But he's pre-law, which might be scary for the world, knowing that he's a fresher twice. But he never ran into him. But my daughter's friend said he was fine. He was an asshole. That's what they said. But I've never known a kid to call a TA great.
Right. Who's gonna like?
Never.
Right.
TAs, that's why they take that class. That's why they have to be TAs, to learn how to be professors, so they can learn how to grade. He wasn't getting fired. I asked them. He didn't get fired until he was arrested.
Yeah.
That's when he got fired. There was no.
Yeah, that's what we found that too.
Yeah. He got a bad review. Most of them do. I complained about a TA or two, honestly. And he was an asshole. He graded hard, but he graded everybody hard. But he never missed a day, and he didn't have a mark on him.
Right. Gotcha. Right. I agree. Doc Terry, thank you so much for that super chat. It says, Dago, love your channel. Mods and members, thank you, Kim, so very much for your courage. By the way, they caught the Long Island serial killer.
I heard.
Long Island, love, peace to all. Absolutely.
I heard, right? That's good news, Doc Terry. That's great news, Doc, right?
It says, how could they clear the roommates when they were there before, during, and after the crime?
I can't answer that.
That's a good question. It is.
I don't know. I would have had my kid take a lie detector test out the gate.
Well,
I know they're not admissible or whatever, but I would anyway.
I just for peace of mind, you know, you would something like that, right?
Right. And I'll tell you what, my kid would be sitting in the Gonzalez's house right now till they came clean. I'm sorry, but they would.
I get it. So, I do. I get it. It makes a lot of sense too.
And it clears their name. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, right?
They didn't do anything. It clears their name.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you would think if anybody has no involvement, knows nothing, does this, does that, you go right up to the first person you can find and say, here's the deal. Here I am.
Yeah.
You want me to take a lie detector test? You want to swab my teeth? This is what I did. This is where I was. Boom.
I got nothing to hide.
Yeah. That's it right
there. You know what, though? Sorry. Sometimes the police clear somebody, but, you know, they're still on their radar.
Yeah.
Just to make them, like, relax and get comfortable, make mistakes and whatnot. I'm not saying that that's what happened here, but, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Red Riding Hood is saying, Kim, do you hear some rumors now about the unaliving still? And what is the general feeling about guilt or innocence?
The kids are all really happy just to believe it. That's what it is.
Yeah. Just for it to be over with, I think. Probably a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing that, you know. Deborah, yes, it's Deborah, says, Dago, is it normal for law enforcement, not EMS, to respond to unconscious?
No.
Okay, so here's how this works, guys.
I think we covered this a few tims, but
but that's okay. Some people weren't in here. I know Deborah's kind of new and so on and so forth. So how this typically works is if a call goes in, you know, this is based on my personal experience being an EMS and fire. The call goes through to 911 for an unconscious person. Typically, EMS is rolled right along with law enforcement. Law enforcement typically goes ahead because they're already out and about. EMS, you know, they get geared up, they do their thing, and they roll right behind them, and they're, you know, in effect, right behind them. Law enforcement got there within 2 minutes, went in, assessed the scene, see the horrific scene that they saw. From what I understand, we can't quote this because I have not been able to clarify this, but it is definitely an issue, okay? Law enforcement went in and did what they were doing. The EMS was, I do believe they may have responded as they were supposed to, because an unconscious person could be anything, okay? It could be having a cardiac event. It could be that they're just they're drinking, passed out, seizure. It could be anything. So EMS does need to go on calls like that. They were stalled. I don't know whether it was before they got to the scene or if they just got to the scene and they were told to stand by. They were not allowed to go into the home. They're not in the PCA. There's no EMS involved in this whatsoever. They should have been to assess the situation. You know, law enforcement officers are trained as first responders as well, CPR, things like that. They do know how to do minimal, basic, life-saving techniques, but they're not EMS workers. I've always had that as an issue, as a red flag to me, and I still do, and I always will, no matter what the situation ends up being. So that's how that typically works. But thank you again, Deborah, for the question. I appreciate that.
So I have a question for you.
Please. Yes, ma'am.
They declared the time of death at 12 noon.
Right.
Don't you have to have the coroner or the EMTs do that?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of my biggest red flags because
that's my concern.
Yeah, they didn't the coroner did not get there till 4 or 5 or 5:30, I believe it was. Don't quote me, folks, but I'm pretty sure
that's what you said.
And EMS was not in the home, did not touch anything, was not allowed to be involved. So that's a problem for me. That's just been a problem for me the whole time. So Yep,
Right.
That's a fact. That's an issue. So,
and aren't they more trained to for a crime scene as far as not contaminating?
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Than police officers? Like, I mean, police officers are, but I thought that EMTs are very definitely, specifically taught how not to contaminate a crime scene.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And I don't understand. Granted, they may have not wanted anybody. Law enforcement may have said, and I'm not sticking up for them. I wasn't there. I don't know the situation, but all I can say is they may have not wanted, due to experience, possibly, anyone to go inside due to that type of a scene. That may have been what they were told. And in turn, we have still the three first responders officers that were there are the ones that should have been the ones that wrote the PCA. Instead, no, we waited for 4 hours until some other officer shows up to have them walk through the scene once again, and then they do this. This is what I have the issue with.
Right.
You know, I'm just saying, if there was, oh, that was already up there. Okay, if there was Mr. Danger Zone, if there was whimpering picked up on camera 50 feet from Zena's bedroom, couldn't Dylan have heard and called for help? I absolutely agree, Dan, and should have. That's my opinion. Okay, big time. And I'm sorry, regardless of what the statement was, what we have been told. I will not. I refuse to believe that there was nothing heard by those roommates. If they were in that home, that any of it, they should have heard it all, in my opinion. So.
It would be different than a party. I mean, from what I know, it would be horrifying.
You know what? The statements in the Snapchat.
Yes, ma'am.